You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron. Now here's your host, Ethan Haristadoulou.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron and a happy NFL Sunday. It is time to preview our Monday Night Football matchups because we got a doubleheader, but not at the same time doubleheader, so I guess, is that a doubleheader? I don't know. I don't know the technicalities on that, but there are two games on Monday Night Football, one at 7 p.m., one at 10 p.m. We're previewing the first one here. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the second game as well, but we're focusing on Buccaneers and Lions for this matchup. I'm actually taping this in the middle of halftime of Rams and Jaguars. It's currently 21-0, all Rams, and Jaguars are not looking too hot, but we're looking at Bucs and Lions, so comment down below. Let me hear from you. Thoughts, opinions on the matchup, who you like going into this one here. And remember, as always, we're here for a good time. Nobody's taking this that serious. I'm here to talk football with you all. Looking at this Bucs and Lions matchup, though, we got a battle of hierarchy in the NFC right now as both of these teams are looking to jockey themselves in a better position. And right now, Tampa Bay coming off of a strong, dominant finish against the San Francisco 49ers last week, and Detroit reeling after a humbling game against Kansas City. These two teams could not be in more different places coming out of last week's matchups here. I think when I'm looking at this game specifically, the big thing we have to discuss and look at here, because it kind of looked like it was a problem against Kansas City as well, is going to be Detroit's secondary and how they fare against the wide receivers and passing attack that Tampa Bay employs. Now, Kirby Joseph, Avonte Maddox, and Terrion Arnold are all out for this game here, so secondary is, of course, going to be a little bit thin, a little bit weaker than it typically would be. Tampa Bay, on the flip side, as it currently stands right now when I'm recording this, Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka, are both listed as questionable and may or may not be available. It seems like Mike Evans is trending towards playing, though, so you can at least expect him. Emeka Egbuka, I feel like, is a long shot, but if he gets on the field, he'll at least force the defense to respect his presence at the bare minimum, because the way this Bucs passing attack has worked with just Emeka on the field has been crazy. They're 7th in passing yards right now as a team, 5th in passing touchdowns. They have the 8th best sack rate in terms of pass protection this year, and Egbuka has been unbelievable. 27 receptions, 469 yards, which is good for 5th in the NFL. He's tied for 3rd with 5 touchdowns, and he has a whopping 17.4 yards per reception, which is 4th best amongst all qualified wide receivers. And a lot of that work has been with Mike Evans and or Chris Godwin and or both being out at varying points throughout this season so far. He has been a godsend for this passing attack here. And when you look at Detroit, who has been about average to like slightly below average this season against the pass as is, and they're only getting weaker in that secondary, this could pose an issue if at least Mike Evans is on the field, because at least at that point you feel pretty good about what you're working with. But if Emeka's on the field, that just opens up things even more for them. But Detroit's pass rush will probably be one of those units you have to look for production this week. It's going to be about getting after the quarterback. They have 19 sacks on the season. They have one of the best sack rates in the NFL at 8.5%, and they're 8th best in pressure rate, obviously led by Aiden Hutchinson and company over there. It sounds like they're going to be getting some reinforcements back for this game as well, but I'm a little bit concerned about how this secondary, being so thin and struggling the way they have in certain instances this season already, what that could potentially look like. If, for whatever crazy reason, we're looking at no Mike Evans, no Emeka Egbuka, then the conversation shifts a little bit, and I'm not as concerned because, again, the pass rush for Detroit has been pretty solid this year. So I do think getting after Baker Mayfield, who, even without all of his star wide receivers and working with number 4, 5, and 6, was able to still come away with a big win against San Fran last week. Detroit's a little bit of a different team. They're in a better spot, I would say, as San Francisco is just falling apart piece by piece as far as injuries are concerned. That does change the game a little bit, but as it stands right now, it seems like they'll be somewhat okay, and Baker Mayfield has been unbelievable extending plays, so all eyes on that Detroit secondary. On the flip side, when I look at Tampa Bay, I think the big thing I'm hyper-focusing on for this game is going to be just how Tampa Bay slows down Detroit's run-heavy offense. Kansas City and Green Bay kind of gave the blueprint for how you need to stop this Detroit Lions team and ultimately come away with the win. And it's easier said than done, but it's essentially stop the run, get ahead, and force the offense to become one-dimensional. Because when you get into a situation where the Lions can't run the football as often because they're trailing and they're playing catch-up and the play action isn't as easy to bite on because they haven't been really running the football anyways, you know the passes are coming. Like, you can tell that this is a disguised play action kind of deal. We've seen we've seen Detroit struggle a bit. So take a look at what Kansas City and Green Bay did. You get ahead, you turn that offense one-dimensional, and then you have yourself a real good opportunity to take down this Lions team. Now, the reason I say, though, easier said than done. Detroit, 129 yards per game right now, 8 rushing touchdowns, tied for third in the NFL. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are obviously one of the best speed power 1-2 punches the NFL has seen in some time, in my opinion. The way they are able to complement each other and just either guy when they're in, regardless of the down, you know you have a capable running back who is either going to not break the top of the defense, but absolutely blow away the defense with his speed in a Jahmyr Gibbs, or you have David Montgomery, who, even if it's 3rd and 5, he's probably going to be able to power through the interior of the offensive line, carry a guy or two for the first down, regardless of where they are. They can lean on either running back in any situation and feel comfortable with what they're doing. It's one of the more impressive things we've seen coming out of Detroit over the last handful of seasons. Tampa Bay's run defense, though, has been good, and they could be up for the task. About 88 yards per game allowed on the ground right now, good for 5th best in the NFL. 3.7 yards per attempt, good for 5th best in the NFL. And they have the league's best run stuff rate at about 22% of runs. So that means just about 1 in 4 runs, they are stopping teams at the line or behind the line of scrimmage. So a very good, stout unit up front. And for the most part, they're a pretty healthy unit, and they're pretty intact in their defensive front. So there's not really anything I'm too worried about. Levante David, their linebacker, longtime vet of the team, he is questionable for the game. And obviously you don't have a guy like a Kalijah Cansey in play. But I mean, overall, the unit's for the most part intact. You should feel pretty good about what's going on. Guys like Yaya Diaby have been doing a really good job setting the edges for them and emerging this season as well. So if most of these guys are available, and if Levante David ultimately ends up being in there as well, the leader of that defense, you're going to feel really good about what Tampa Bay could potentially do in slowing down that Detroit Lions offense. I do think the ultimate X factor, though, is going to be Baker Mayfield and just how Detroit handles him. Baker's playing on an unbelievable level right now. He has been making plays when it matters most. The amount of just third and absolute long plays that we've seen him make, whether it's through the air with his legs to go for a first down, I mean, you're at least counting on 2 hands now what you've been able to watch him do this season. So Detroit's got to make sure they're taking care of him and respecting his ability, not only with what he's been able to do with his arm, but with his legs on the ground as well, because a handful of those 3rd and long plays have been handled by him personally with his legs. And it's been like 3rd and 15 type runs that we're seeing where he's converting them for first downs because everyone's just trying to cover these receivers that they're employing over there in Tampa Bay. As for who I think is going to actually win the matchup, this is a good one. It's a tight contest. And on top of that, the game is in Detroit. So I understand the favoritism maybe leaning towards Detroit here. And people keep saying, the luck at some point has to run out for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Unfortunately for the Detroit Lions, I don't know if that luck runs out this week, and I'm actually leaning Tampa Bay for this game. I'm a little bit worried about what we've seen now from Detroit against 2 playoff-worthy opponents in both the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are poised to now start making a run. And depending on who you talk to, may or may not believe this is a playoff team. It's still the Chiefs. It's still Mahomes. It's still Andy Reid. It's a team that's probably going to be in the postseason when things are all said and done. I'm kind of worried about that and how they fare here. And again, that secondary is just a little too banged up for me. And even if it's just Mike Evans that's coming back to play, I feel really good about this passing attack and Baker Mayfield working with that 4th, 5th, and 6th wide receiver and still making plays happen because we saw him do it literally last week against a pretty good defense over there in San Fran. I like Tampa Bay. I think they get the job done, and I think it's a fun one. I think it's a good contest. Detroit manages a better game than we've seen from those last 2 playoff opponents, but I have Tampa Bay winning 29-23 in a bit of a more higher scoring affair. A lot of fun, a lot of action, some fireworks, but ultimately Bucs continue what they're doing, and that is just shocking everyone each and every single week with their ability to find ways to win football games. But those are my thoughts, my opinions, and prediction for the first Monday Night Football matchup. Comment down below. Let me hear from you. Who do you like? Who do you dislike? Who's coming away with the win and why? But as always, if you made it to the end, I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the other Monday Night Football preview, or maybe check out the other predictions I had for this week as well. But I will see you all next time. Have a good one.